Cool.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Give everybody a few minutes, probably a few more people kind of filter in as we go, but I'm very excited to see some new faces, some of our old regulars showing up. This is
Old,
great.
old. What? No,
Um,
wait. Old, old.
oh.
Clarify that.
Long
Our
timers.
well-seasoned individuals. There we go. Um, we're excited. In the past, the network hasn't done a whole lot in the summer because, so many people try to bug out of Dodge here, but we're excited to have this particular session happening this month. I think it's really relevant. And having recently been to the Mountain West Trails Conference and a few other things that I've been doing in my personal life, it feels like accessibility is the hot button that everybody's focusing on right now. So I'm excited that we're able to chime in here. So we usually start our sessions with just a open forum. If anybody would like the floor for a minute or two to share updates, news, introduce changes, or make announcements, go ahead. You can just come off mute and have at it if you'd like.
Wendy, do you know that the title is coming up as Bisbee Bikeways?
Oh, no, I will try to change that, but it's probably not going to happen. As it is, I'm having a little bit of lagginess in my Zoom, so please forgive me if I am a little out of sync. Whoop, and my earpiece is falling out. There we go. Claire, did you have something you want to share?
No, I was just going to say it looks like we're heading for another extreme heat a couple of days down here in Phoenix, which will close some of our trails at the city of Phoenix. Camelback Mountain Trails, Piestewa Summit Trail, and some trails over at South Mountain. So we're jumping in. We had some early closures, and then it got kind of quiet for a while for June, but looks like we'll be in for that. So that was it.
Great. Yeah, I think that it's wise for people to stay off the trails when it's like this. All right. Any other announcements or shares?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. This is Tom Thurman. I was the president of the Sun Corridor Trail Alliance for quite a few years. I ended up having to back out about 2 years ago, and then some other folks backed out. I have not heard, Wendy, you may know better what's going on with that. I'm still part of the Black Canyon National Recreation Trail group with Bob Cothran, but uh, I hadn't heard anything going on with Sun Corridor.
They just did a presentation for us, was it last month or 2 months ago?
Two, mo-
Um,
2 months
two
ago?
months ago. Yeah. And that was RJ Carden gave that talk. So that was the last that we heard from them, a couple months.
Yeah, because he retired from Maricopa County Parks too, so I didn't know if he
Yeah, but
was going to stay.
he's still active. He's still active with the SCTA,
Good.
yeah.
And he's also helping out with the Maricopa Park and Trail Foundation as well.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so
Oh,
he's still he can't stay away. He's like all the rest of us. We can't stop.
I know.
It's like Kent Taylor in his retirement, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. How
What's
come
Claire
Kent's
gonna
not
do? Oh
online?
my goodness. All right. So if there's no other announcements, we will keep the floor open. We usually do for a little bit after the meeting. If you think of something that you want to share out with the group, you'll be welcome to do so. But for now, I'm actually going to hand it over to Andrea to introduce our speaker for today because she is the one who has been most closely in contact with the organization and with Todd and really encouraged us to make this happen. So I'm going to let her have the floor.
Well, I am just so pleased that Todd could make the time to be with us. Todd Ackerman is the ADA assessment coordinator and lead trainer and lead trail assessor for beneficial designs out of Minden, Nevada. Todd's a retired high school math teacher, He lives in the beautiful Kalispell, Montana, where it's a lot cooler than it is here, after he retired from teaching. And he's been with Beneficial Designs for the last 15 years and has traveled, it seems like, all over the globe, from Prince Edward Island in Canada to Hawaii. And he's teaching the HETAP process, which he'll talk to us about today, and doing assessment for project clients. I was lucky enough to do a HETAP training some years ago when Claire got it going through the McDowell Sonoran Preserve, and it was such a valuable training. And then as a trainee, we had to volunteer to assess a trail, and one of mine was in state parks, which I understand are now all assessed. But I just think it's the greatest program going. And if I were Czarina, all trails would be assessed and the information would be communicated to the entire public. So Todd, take it away.
Well, thank you for allowing me to come on and address your group. It's we tried to get to your conference last year, 2 years ago, and it kind of fell through, but it happens.
Fine.
I'm going to do I have a PowerPoint presentation that I will talk through, and it's the first time I've done a PowerPoint for for about 45 minutes. So I'm hoping I have enough slides, or I hope I don't have too many slides. I don't know what I have exactly. And so I am the, as titles go, I guess, the ADA assessment coordinator with Beneficial Designs. And I am as you know, the ADA actually stops at the trailhead. There's no such thing as an ADA trail. We talk about this at most of our trainings, and because people want to put up different symbols, and it's like, the access board frowns on certain things, and we try to follow some of their guidelines. And so we use the ABA, the Architectural Barrier Act guidelines, when they want to have an accessible trail, or if they want to know. So I will share my screen, and I also have some data stuff that I will also show you. Some live data stuff where I can play with it a little bit, so you can see kind of what we do on the back end work a little bit. So let's see if I can do this. I got to get to my PowerPoint, my right one. Okay, share that guy and go to that. Come on. Okay. I'm assuming I'm at the right place here.
Yep, that looks great, Todd.
Okay, good. All right. So we look at, and if you did the training, you probably have seen some of these slides because they have not changed a whole lot. We've updated some of them, but the greatest barrier to the outdoor we look at is the lack of information when individuals come to a trailhead. When we were in Alabama, they had like the blue trail, the white trail, and maybe an arrow. Some of them had a distance. That was all. And we find that a lot in a lot of parks, or even a lot of just trail entity places. Some of them have the name of the trail and the distance and not much more information. So what does the little international symbol mean? When we talk about blue, I think most people think about it as ADA. You see it blue on the pavements. On most of these little guys, they are in blue or surrounded by blue. And so the access board also frowns on using the international symbol on signage. And so what I think we interpret it as, well, this is like an ADA. Everything is ADA. And there's a big difference between what the ADA accepts as accessible and what the ABA does. They're a little bit different. And so we look at the need for trail assessment work. Why are you out doing it? And we're trying to give the public as much accurate trail data as we can. We try to be objective. We look at from beneficial as we want that hiker to be informed, and so they can make the decision that is best for them. That's really our goal. And so we don't, like for us, we do not grade trails. We've been asked one time to do a mountain bike trail, and they gave us all their information, but we don't necessarily do it. So we don't say, yeah, it's a hard trail, an easy trail. It's not a black trail, a blue trail. Now, if places want to do that, that's totally up to them. Even if we collect the data, they get the data. That's how they want to use that data and share it with the public is, we have no control over, and we really don't want any control over it since it's their data. We do talk about, though, pairing symbols, and we use the brown because it more deals with the outdoor environment. And like in this case, we're talking about maybe a campsite that would be accessible. And we hope that everything within that campsite is accessible. That's not always the case. But so we would look at, if you're going to pair things, we would use brown more than obviously the blue. If you have gone through any of the trainings, we have the HETAP, the Universal Trail Assessment Process, which is all done by hand, and it is a minimum of 2 people can do it. I've had one individual, and I mean one, pick up 7 miles of trail by himself. And in listening to how he did it, he had to walk 21 miles to pick up 7. Because he had a tripod, he'd walk out, put the tripod, walk back, take his readings, and just do that over and over. Where the HETAP, or the high efficiency trail assessment process, is a one-person collection. In the picture here is our single wheel. We do have a 3-wheel, what we call the cart. The one that I use for assessment is a converted baby stroller. The one that we use now for the business is a converted shotgun cart. So it's a little different. It's kind of like, if you look at the picture on the left, if you were going to collect that with the HETAP, the way the 4 or 5 people are there, probably between those 2 individuals, what they're picking up is going to take them anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, roughly. Where with the cart, I'll probably would be through there in about a minute at the max. So there's a big time difference. Plus, when you get done with the HETAP, 90% probably of your trail data is ready to be published, as to say. Whereas with the HETAP, you got to go back and take all your handwritten notes and plug it into the system. That's the big difference between the two. Excuse me. HETAP generates objective information, access and use. It can tell you. I'll show you some pictures of what the data does for us and clients. Can help with construction and maintenance. It can help with mapping, which is a lot of what we do. It does help with the environmental protection on your trails and compliance with designs. Now, only if you really compliance with design standards really kind of comes down to the when you're building or when you're changing route is where you got to be compliant. It's not like you have to go out and change your trail right now to make it compliant at all. And I don't know, like, does Arizona even have trail standards? Most states do not. The Forest Service has some, but most of the states do not. So, we look at, well, the Architectural Barrier Act, the ABA is really the standards for the national parks, more or less. And those are the standards that we recommend following at this point. Sorry, I needed a drink. And so it does help with inventory. As you go through this process, you can pick up stuff in the trail, outside of the trail. I've gone all the way from all what somebody wants is just trail data, nothing else, all the way from that to we want everything. So we want to know where the culverts are. We want to know where the benches are. We want to know where the water bars are. We want to know where the obstructions are. And also with this, we determine compliance with existing Architectural Barrier Act, which is developed for the outdoor recreation facility, which really only deals with federal. So most like state parks don't have any guidelines unless they have their own, as I was saying. And so these are the ones we recommend. And, if we go to a national park or a state park, it does help them with their transition plan, especially if they got over 50 people. And if anybody got any question as I go, I will be more than happy to stop and answer. I should have said at the beginning. Sorry about that. For beneficial, we look at we want trails designed for all users, even though, as in our case at Beneficial, we got into this because my boss is a disabled vet. And he looks at if he can get anywhere on the trail that I can get, then he's disabled. And so he's not looking at doing anything different. He doesn't want to pave the outdoor environment. He doesn't want anything like that. And so that's why, we look at the greatest extent possible to give this trail, this information to people that can get out and use them and give them that information is really our biggest goal. So this all started with HETAP, and it started in Yellowstone Park back in the mid 80s. And they went out and they measured a trail. They went out, did the whole trail, came up with a bunch of data. And then, the short version is with Peter, and obviously this is quite old, that's the old version of the SMART level down there with the wood, and Peter is the guy in the wheelchair. And then they came back and they gave this information to hikers before they went out on this trail and gave them that info. So they went out on trail, came back, and really it was, how did the information we gave you help you in determining your experience on this trail? That's kind of how it, in a basic, real quick way, how it kind of all started. Was the expectations, was the trail easier or harder than what you thought? And so this is where what we call the TAI, or the trail access information, came from, that Peter developed. I'm trying to find this. And so, what type of trails do you display on your trails? And I don't know if anybody has anything they want to throw out right there? Like what type of information you guys show on your trails?
One of the things that I was most impressed with in knowing the grade and the basic surface, because my dad used a wheelchair and my brother has an artificial leg, was also, and I have 6 grandchildren, was the features on the trail. Like, how long are we going to be out and what's it going to be like to get there? And if I'm pushing a stroller, how far is it, or how long will it be that I have to carry my 5-year-old back? And for the wheelchair to understand both the grade, is it going to be really hard for me to push it? And is the surface such that the wheelchairs on my dad's wheelchairs versus my brother's, which was a fatter tire, what could they expect before they went out?
Right. Yeah. And so what we do at the HETAP is there's actually 6 on here, but there's only 5 required things. When you follow the ABA guidelines and with the access board, is the length of the trail, typical and maximum grade, typical and maximum cross slope, typical and minimum tread width, and surface type. We don't normally put features on the TAIs, but we do collect them if they want. And there's only so much space on like one of these things that I think we only put on roughly like 3 obstructions. Now you get like people who go out and collect, they get a whole list of obstructions. And so online, they can add a whole lot more. To talk about a little bit about the obstructions is like in Alabama, they even said one trail is this whole trail has obstructions or roots of 6 inches or greater. And they put that on their signage so people know when they get there. Kind of the same for your point that, well, I got a stroller. Oh, I don't want to go stroller down this trail. I mean, it'll be a battle for me. So, but these are the things that we're looking at collecting as we go down this our trail. And surface is, there's 2 categories: the firmness and the surface type. There's a whole list of the type, and we only have 5 categories: paved, hard, firm, soft, and very soft. And so in that aspect, it's I got to think like in Arizona, most of your surfaces are going to be either, well, I guess you could have a wider range. It's either going to be hard. I was going to say hard or soft, but I guess in certain areas you could get firm and hard, and you could get some soft if you run into some sand area. But I mean, like where the office is located, if we collect data in April, we may be firm. If we collect data in the Sierras where we're at in August, it's going to be hard. It all comes down to our collection time. Features, we collect the location is automatically collected within the program. You have to tell what the feature is. You can describe it, you can measure it, and you can tell how many there are. But only the first 2 there, location and type, of those 5, you have to do. The location is automatically picked up, but you have to say what it is. Well, it's a gazebo. Well, it's a rock. It's a root. And excuse me, from there, there are certain things that you can add to it. Now there's and I'll show you other things that automatically has to happen. So if we take this one, if you've been to a training, I don't know if they had this picture in there or not. But as you come to this scenic viewpoint, there are, you tell me, how many features would any of you say there are here? Don't be shy.
I'd probably give it 4. So fence line, interpretive sign, bench, and scenic view.
That would be the most. Yeah. But, and I agree, but it all would come down to every entity wants something different. So for some place, they might want, well, just pick up the bench and the sign. Don't worry about anything else. So, for us, we always talk about it. What do you want us to pick up? A lot of people don't get
Even that there's a flat space.
It's not a feature though.
Oh, I see.
So a lot of people will not mention the view, but and that's kind of a tough feature to pick up in one way, but I mean, we can if they want it. So we divide when we go out, before we ever go out, we look at the trails, and it's kind of like I'm going out to Montgomery Park in Maryland fairly soon. And so I will take a look at all their trails where they want collected, and we break them up into segments. So like there's segment A, and they run from intersection to intersection. And so because segment A could be in the trail that has segment A and segment B, segment A can also be in the segment that has the trail that has A, C, and D. And so we don't use this. I'm just in this way, but in this case, this trail, so we look at the 5 segments. Now in segment A, if we just take segment, there could be 25 stations within segment A. We always record best path of travel. And we always stay with the best path to travel. And I always tell people, you need to walk where you will walk, not your 5-year-old, because they're not going to walk the best path to travel. And the other one that's interesting is when in a lot of my trainings, I do get a lot of single people, and you can tell who's had kids and who has not had kids when they start working with the cart. It's interesting. So this is what we normally do. So when I go out, this is a park we have done. Every intersection gets marked either with a number or a letter. And if we just take the one right in the middle, this K to N. So when I go into my program and it has segment, I will type in K to N. And that does 2 purposes. It tells I'm working on this segment, but it also tells me my direction. And that's important because I'm starting at K and I'm going to N. And the reason we break everything up by intersection is if all of a sudden they take K to N and they want to reroute it straight across K to N, we could come back in and just go right to that intersection K and do the new one, take out the old piece and add the new piece in. Mm-hmm. This is a park we did do up in Minnesota. And as an example, the reason why it's important for us is if I started at K and went to J and then J to I to G, G to F, and went all the way up to, I think, D, and my partner started back here at A and went A to B and B to C, C to D. So we're actually coming together, but we're going backwards to each other. And so if I want to rebuild this whole loop on the back end and I want to just keep going my way, he collected C to D, but in the program, I can take his C to D and flip it. So all his data will now get flipped over, and I will do that with his B to C and his A to B, and all the data gets flipped, And so now I have the trail all going in one direction.
Cool.
And the software does it for me. Down towards the bottom left down here, the thing we have to do at times is we have segment A to B down here on the bottom. Well, that's the straight one is A to B. Over here, if I don't put the X in there, I also have a segment A to B. So this is where we add either an X or a number. And I will say I'm going from A to X to B. One, it tells me where I'm going. And I can't have two segments with the same name. So that makes it a different name. And also, if you look, I know I'm going a little quick here. Up here we have F, and then I have little a. Well, little a is different than capital A. So I can always use the lowercase numbers or letters, sorry. And we do that. Now, it's not shown on here, but like this loop, I would add a number on this loop somewhere, like if I put like where my cursor is, I don't know if you can see my cursor. I would put a 1, and all it is directional for me. Know which way I'm going on the trail.
Todd, how do you differentiate between the A on the southern trail and the A on the big northern trail?
The one up here?
Yeah, up.
No, up here.
Right.
So normally I can't, if I have the same database, I can't have the same letters. So this one of them would have to be changed. And I'm sure I did. It's so like if I have a database, I can't have trail A to B there and A to B here. It doesn't.
Okay.
I could put A1 to B1. I would have done something different here. I probably would have started using numbers actually once I get through the alphabet. And I found I don't want to use, I can go AA to BB. I don't want to go lowercase VV because it looks too much like a W, unless I zoom it up, then it confuses me. See, even over on the right, I have another A to B over there. This was probably one in which we was writing it out, and then we came back, and we may have used a different database. Probably not, though. But those would not be. I could not have 3 A's in here. It won't let me do it.
I see.
So I would change those. Great question. In the yellow here would be our best path of travel. And this is where we would run everything. Now, this would be something that we would talk to whoever in our collection is the full length of the trail all the way across. And if it is, we would pick this up as drainage or a feature if they want it picked up. If it's not, if they came in and put that in themselves and said, no, we don't want that, we just want this flat surface. These are the questions we always ask before we go out. But I'm not going to go take my cart and put it in here to get an outlier reading, because that's not where people are going to go. So I pick up extreme data, but I don't go off the best path of travel to pick up an outlier. If you have gone through this slide's probably been around ever. So when do we pick up a station with the cart? Anytime there's a visual change in trail direction, it turns. Visual change in grade or cross slope, and a change in tread width. And that's kind of a tough one. I mean, if the trail is 36, it comes down to 30 and then goes right back to 36. We don't worry about it. Anytime the surface changes, an intersection, the start and end of a segment, and even if it's paved, we try not to go over 25 feet, but I will say if it's a rails to trail, it's been paved, it's straight, we look at, you know what, if I go 27, 28 feet between, it's not going to matter a whole lot. And with the cart, so you understand how that works, I roll up with the cart, I stop, I hit enter, and in that process, it just recorded everything that I want. And I'm going to try to move this. So in this picture, in this picture, if I recorded the cart where the cart is right here at the very top, and let's say the grade is -7, I don't know, and my cross slope is 4. I'm just picking these numbers up. From this cart down to this bottom cart, we're saying that total distance has a grade of -7, and the cross slope is whatever I said, 4. So that's how we record. We're saying this whole distance is the same. If it changes, then I stop within there and I record again. So that's kind of how the cart works. It's not a continuous reading. It goes from one point or one station to the next, if that makes sense. A trail, and we try to explain this to people in our training, is a pedestrian route developed primarily for outdoor recreational purposes. And a lot of our guidelines that we share deal with newly constructed or altered trails, especially if they want to know, do we have an accessible trail? And with that is, like the trails in the Sierras that were around us at Nevada State Parks, none of those trails are going to be accessible trails. And so we talk to the entities about that. And to be an accessible trail, you can't have an obstruction of over 2 inches in the trail. Well, there are certain areas in certain parks that, if we're going to pick up everything at 2 inches, we're there all day long. And so they know their trail's not accessible. It'll never be accessible for multiple reasons. So we may go, well, we're not going to pick up, or we'll talk to them about it, anything under 3 or anything under 4 inches, because it's never going to be an accessible trail. And so, but if they want one, then we follow those ABA guidelines. And the ABA guidelines, now this is only if you're constructing a new trail, alternations, or if you want to know, is my trail accessible? And so up to 5%, it can be any length between 5 and 8.3. It's 200 feet. Between 8.3 and 10, it's 30. Between 10 and 12, it's 10. And there's supposed to be nothing over 12% in a grade. And the cross slope is 5% unless it's asphalt, concrete, and boards, and then it's 2. And that is, to give you an idea what that 2% is, that's a sidewalk. That's the cross slope on a sidewalk, is really what they're looking at there. Now, the interesting thing is, if you do have a grade that is over 200 feet, but you have added resting spots in there, you can obviously, if I got something that's, at 7% for 300 feet, but I got, like, let's say 2 resting spots, that's okay. As long as I have resting spots within that piece, it takes this 200 feet away. That's how they can get away with, you can get away with something that looks a little steeper. The width is 36-inch minimum, supposed to be, if it's built, or if you want to know, do I have an accessible trail? A passing space every 1,000 feet. I have never seen a passing space really built into a trail. And we do consider intersections passing spaces. And openings, okay, the openings of a 1/2 inch is not something we look for in dirt. It is more if there is a concrete, asphalt, or boards is really that 1/2 inch. And tread obstructions, like a rock in the trail, is a 2-inch max, except concrete, asphalt, and boards, it's a 1/2 inch. Now, to give you an example, on a sidewalk that is in the street, then that sidewalk has a trip of 1/4 of an inch. So the ABA is very generous. They give you another 1/4 of an inch here. So that's kind of the big thing. And we look at openings, where we find the openings is really in the boards of a bridge or something. That's where this 1/2 inch really comes into play for us. Firmness, I've already talked about this. It's paved, hard, firm, soft, very soft. We use the heel test. Simple. That's how we go out. Pretty much, you know your own trails. You get out there. Okay, this thing's hard. You know it's hard. And we have 2 zones as we go through this. We have the trail bed, which is in the blue. Anything within that trail, anything that comes into the trail. Now, the obstruction, the vertical obstruction, if I can push it away with my hand, it's not an obstruction. We're talking a tree limb that's pretty solid. And the visual field is everything outside of that door frame. Features, is anything within the trail bed. So we have roots. This would all be one feature. We would pick it all. We're not picking each one up. We'd call it a root field, and pick everything up we can comment about it. We can make a comment. But we are picking everything up in one shot. We're not stopping and picking each one up, to give you an idea. This is kind of what the HETAP looks like when you first open it up. We do have alarms. We pretty much turn the alarms off. We do have a distance alarm. We set it 25 feet. It does beep when we hit it. And the alarms, like, to give you an idea, this alarm on the grade at 8%, if it's at absolute percent, my alarm's not going to go off until I get over 8% or under -8%. In my grade, or -8. If I go to this one, the cross slope, let's say it's set at 5, but it's absolute change, to give you the difference between these two. If it was absolute, if I had a reading of a cross slope of 2, my alarm wouldn't go off until it hits 7 or -3 when it changes. A lot of times we turn them on to start with, and then we turn them off, especially on a trail, because I hit a rock or something, it's going to go off. This is what roughly the page looks like in our collection. Everything in yellow is the last station. This would be the green would be an active station. Every time we record a station, we take a picture. And we have a lot of different things that go on in that. This would be the feature page. As an example, the distance is automatic. The rock, I have to say what it is. There's a whole big drop-down box here. I can describe it. I can tell what it's in. I can measure it. There are a few other steps, and I have to save an image of it, and then I just record it, and I go on. And you can get relatively quick. We can save. We can copy features. So it does make, if I know there's a whole bunch of bridges, I may just copy the bridge, and I may change my info in it, but it makes it quicker. This is just what the spreadsheet looks like. I'm hoping I'm going to open up another one if I got time, and show you how it all works. But so, we do have a running distance where we're at. It does have a percentage. So, if I go down here, the first segment was 240 feet, which is, in this case, 8.3% of the trail. It tells me, what everything has my longitude and latitude. That's how our GIS works off of, is longitude and latitude. Here's another picture of what feature data. So I have a sign, it's in the visual field. I have a route, it's in the trail. I measure it. And there's 24 inches of remaining tread space. It also automatically picks up its longitude and latitude, so it can become a point. This is actual trail data we picked up. So this is what our GIS can do for maintenance purposes if they want. Everything in blue is less than 5%. Everything in green is between 5 and 8.3. Now, I can't tell you how long this is in this picture, but if that is less than 200 feet, then it's good. If these are less than 200 feet in length, then the grade is good, even though it's greater than 5. In red here is greater than 12. So this would be red for maintenance. This would be maybe we need to go find this. And our GIS gives them, they can click on it. It tells them where it is from the trailhead, what its GPS point is, how long it is. It does everything for them. And it does the same thing for cross slope. Everything in blue is less than 5. Everything in this orange is greater than 5. So these pieces would have to be checked, and maybe maintenance would have to be done because they're greater than 5%. Tread width, everything in blue is 36. Everything in red is less than 36. So if they wanted to make this piece accessible, they would have to go back in and figure out, okay, where do we cut this trail out to make it wider? Now, I did this just for this purpose, but this trail some of this could be at 30 inches. Some of it could be at 12 inches. I just had her quickly do this for me so you can see what GIS can do for maintenance purposes. And in this case, the trail I picked, the whole thing was hard. So I didn't have any variation there. This is what a TAI looks like. And so it has everything on here. Now, if you look at this sign is not compliant. More or less because the name has to be 5/8 of an inch. That's the only thing on these that have to be compliant. We put the American flag on it. We suggest it for vandalism so they don't get shot. But it has everything that goes on, the grade, typical, maximum. We put this 8% grade. Over on the other side, typical, the tread width and not the tread width, but surface, the firmness and stability. Most of those you don't have because you don't have an RP. But this is what gets pretty much produced. Most of this is done. Probably 9% of this is done when I walk off a trail. I don't have to do a whole lot. Some examples, I know this is tough to see. This is up at Lake Tahoe. These are all trails in Nevada State Parks. They're all different colors. I get it. We can't, make everybody happy. We always get asked, well, how about colorblind? It's like, we try to get as many people as we can. This is the same data that matches up with the color of the trails. So the same data is there at this kiosk. This was in Alabama. This was Lakeshore, the Lakeshore Pated. I can't remember the name of this park. But this is their grand opening. They had all these signs out there so people could see. Oh, it's Oak Mountain. This is the same stuff. Oak Mountain, same thing on their signage. Who benefits from this, from TAIs? We look at everybody does. And not just people with disabilities, but people with little kids, people with limited vision, even adults who get older whose balance now is not quite as sharp as it used to be. So everybody does. We try to have consistent information. That's our biggest goal. We want to increase independence. We want to give the hiker the informed information so they can make this correct decision for themselves, and so that they kind of have a pretty good idea of the actual conditions. We look at the data that you can give people can increase the user safety and satisfaction. If they're happy at their trail, they're going to come back. And you can monitor the environmental impact, especially if you allow biking on your trail. Nothing against mountain bikers, but they do widen the corner of some trails. And so some people want to know that. You can identify work priorities, enhance planning and budgeting to go in for maintenance. And all this can be put into GIS for mapping purpose. We do pick up inventory of existing facilities if they want, determine compliance with existing ADAG, and develop outdoor recreation facilities. And as I said before, we do help create a transition plan. We have written them. We don't like to, I don't think. Places where we are at, city and sparks, federal agencies, nonprofits have used us, ADA Consulting, Florida State Park, city. Well, we're in every province in Canada. National Park Service, San Antonio Parks have used it. I know also Arizona State Parks, one down by Phoenix, has our equipment. And I think that's it. I don't know how much time I have left.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. Let's open to the floor to questions.
Okay.
And then maybe once we wrap up with that, Todd, if people want to hang around and see the live data, if they're still interested, we can leave the floor open for a little bit. But I just want to give anybody who wants to pop in with a question real quick the chance to. And then also, Andrea, could you make sure to put Todd's contact information in the chat?
I will do that.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions for Todd?
I have a quick one. Depending on the surface, weather, if it's concrete and it's fairly rough concrete on purpose, water won't make it too slippery, but it can get slippery. Sometimes you're compacted, like decomposed granite, some of the other stuff, that can start getting mushy. Do you have some sort of way of warning folks about the condition of the trail after a lot of rain or snow?
We don't. We do, though. Most of the time the entity knows their trails, and so like all the data we collect, you can add so much stuff online that you can't just put on a signage. And so we do address that a little bit, that exactly that point. Some of these trails will be considered wet. You can add that actually on a TAI if you want at the bottom. And it's not saying, but there's so much more you can put on your website. There was one in Hawaii. They put up a orange triangle because they actually had a guy die. He fell off the trail. So it was a danger symbol that they used to let people know it's a dangerous trail. But more or less, we don't have anything because we don't necessarily know maybe some of that information, whereas the stuff that you can add on your website would be put with that information or with that trail.
Yeah, just disclosure, weather permitting, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, this is Art Hazonik in Sun City, Arizona. I'm just a hiker, but I have several friends who use wheelchairs, and they try to find accessible trails wherever they can. But their biggest comment all the time, everyone without exception, is the grade. That's the thing that really challenges them. They usually get over obstacles and they deal with width and that, but it's the grade.
Yeah.
That's just a point I'm throwing out there.
Yeah, and that's a lot. We had that in we were in North Carolina. They had a park there, and it was paved, but they wanted to know. They wanted to make it accessible. They wanted to know if it was. And the biggest thing is to put in the resting spots. And that is true, because even if you have a grade of 5%, but if that, 4.5%, but if that's, 600 yards, that's a lot of work.
True. Good point. Good point.
Any other questions for Todd? We're going to share his contact information here.
Can I say one thing? I will say,
yes, please.
To go with that on the wheelchair, like Peter is my boss. He's disabled. He's in a wheelchair. He's in a manual chair. And so we just did 13 miles of the rim trail on the south rim at the Grand Canyon. And for two reasons. One, we were hired to do so. And two, because I hate to say it, because he wants to know where he can get on a bus or off a bus to go do the trail and then get back on the bus and maybe miss a section. And there is a couple sections that has staircases where he's not going to be able to go. But so, he wants that information. And so that's why one of the reasons we went out and collected it, so people just like him can have access to the majority of the rim, but don't get stuck at a rest stop, at a bus stop, and then have to wait for the next bus.
Okay. See, I didn't realize there were steps there. I thought it was all.
Nope. There are a couple areas that, there's a couple staircases. Yeah.
Todd, is the information that you produce for signage also available through QR codes, like online through various entities' websites that you could check out before you get there?
We don't do that. There is one park in I don't think it's in Phoenix, that has a QR code, but they have something who maintains it. We can put a QR code on it, but we're not going to maintain them.
I see.
So they actually have someone who maintains that information.
Yes, that needs to be hosted. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the equipment? Do you recommend hiring your firm to come out and show you how to use it? And then if you have a big system, you rent the equipment so that you can do it as you can?
We don't rent it. I think at one point we talked about it, but I think Peter nixed it because it's like, well, they got to get trained on it. So we can either come and do the assessment work, but you really got to look at what's going to be more feasible, because it's not cheap for me to come, realistically. But we have a couple different, we have the single wheel and the 3-wheel cart, which is the full HETAP system. We also have, it is the digital tread square. It's a METAP manual. But the digital tread square it still uses the software, and it does have 2 little smart levels for grade and cross slope and distance. So everything else is the same, except when you stop, you put in the grade, the cross slope, the distance, and then you go on. So is it faster than doing it by hand? Yes. Is it as fast as the full system? No. But when I get done with the trail, once again, I'm like at 90% done. I have very little back end work, and it isn't that slow. I mean, it's not as fast, but instead of, when I stop, record, it's enter, I got like 2 seconds. Whereas this is going to take me, if I really, at the long end, a minute. So it does add time, and I don't get as far, but I had to do a trail in Utah with it, which was fine. And so it worked well. And I had my tablet. I just take a picture, put everything in, and go along. So it worked actually really pretty well.
Wow. Very impressive. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the overview and the detail. I think that, what I've been hearing in conferences I've been at throughout the last few years is just the importance of providing the information above even like creating new trails or trying to redesign our trails, just making sure that that information is available so that the trail users can make their own decisions about what is accessible to them. And this allows us to collect that information and report it and then solve problems where we can, right? So I think it's a really great approach. And I'm hoping that we can continue to feature this and work with beneficial designs and get the word out there throughout Arizona. It's really great that you're working with state parks because they really are sort of the heart of our trails community. But there's a lot of people out here doing trails, and so we need to get the word out and get the information posted as many places as possible. Since we're a little bit over our time, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody who needs to go on to the rest of their day go on. If you want to hang around and see some of Todd's live data, I think if Todd's willing to hang out for another
Yeah.
5 minutes or so to look at that, I'll give him the freedom to do that. But otherwise, if you have to go, thanks for coming today. It was great to see you. And our next Zoom, I believe, is scheduled for September. So taking July and August, since most people are traveling and having fun and vacations, or they're just working their butts off because it's, busy season in some parts of the state. So thanks for coming. If you have to take off, and if you want to stick around, I'll let Todd take it over again and share that data.
Thank you, Wendy, for hosting, and good to see you again. Take care.
Yeah, it's good to see you
Bye-bye.
too.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Todd. Great presentation, great information. I know we had it seemed like we had an in previously with having Peter in Scottsdale because his parents at least used to live in Scottsdale. I don't know if they still do or not.
I don't think
that
so.
was the case. Yeah. Seemed like that was the case before. So we had a little extra edge. So
Yeah.
it was some great opportunity for all of us to be able to have that training. So I thank you. Unfortunately, I have to bounce to another meeting. So great to see everybody. And thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Blair.
Bye-bye.
So for those who want to stay, I will give you a little bit of what it looks like on the back end. Let's see if I can. Oh, I guess I got to share, don't I? Yeah. Okay, where are you at? Oh, which one is up here?
Wisconsin Ice Age Trail Alliance.
Is my PowerPoint still up? I'm going to get rid of that.
Nope, I see the
Okay.
HETAP data center.
All right. I want to open this up. Okay, so this is data we collected, and I'm going to run down just the side over on the left-hand side. You see all the numbers. The one, as I go down, it should change to 2, then go to 3 at some point. I'm trying to figure out how many segments I got in this thing. So this trail had 5 segments in it. And so I put them all together. And the nice thing about this is if we want to find like the maximum grade of this trail, I can sit there and I can run down this thing. Oh, there's 11, 14, 16, or I can just go up and click on the grade and it gives me the worst one first. So this has a spot where it's a downgrade at 29%. This is a different one, because this is in segment 5. This one is in segment 3. It's at 28, 27. So you can see, you can go, well, how much of this trail is greater than 20%? Well, if I click on
Todd,
this,
I can only see your computer screen.
Likewise, I'm only seeing the file names.
oh, really? You can't see this thing? Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing a static screen.
Okay, let's
It's a
exit out.
directory.
Okay, let's go back. Let's try this again. Sorry. Share. Okay. Okay, so can you see the,
Oh,
what do you see up now?
same thing.
Does-
Wisconsin Ice Age Trail
Yeah.
Assembly.
Okay, yeah.
Your directory.
But the summary tables, we don't see anything. We still
How
just
about-
see that directory.
How about now?
Yeah, we're still just seeing that directory. I think you're sharing the window instead of the screen.
Okay, you are sharing. I'm sharing that thing. Okay, so why does this not let me? Sorry. Oops. I don't want
This-
that.
I think it's popping up a new window probably, so you have to make sure to share the whole screen.
Okay, I got to get back to this. I'm going to stop sharing here. Okay. Okay, so that now, how come I can't move this? There we go. Okay, now did it get bigger?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
bigger, but it's not what you want to show us.
No, how about now?
No.
Nope.
Sharing screen has stopped as the window is closed. Okay, so why did why does you not pop up? Let me try something here. I'm not sharing that. Am I sharing that now? Okay. Stop sharing. See if I can get this. Okay. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So going back, like
Missions
if I
report by
click on
distance.
so you see all the data now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if I click on grade, it should give me my worst grade first. So it takes it from worst down. If I want to know, how much of this trail is greater than 20% grade, for example, I know that 367 feet or 3% of the trail is greater than 20. So these things are not like this. The very first one at 29, it's only 9.3 feet long, but it's still out of compliance. But why I can do so much on the back end is because I can click on cross slope. It does the cross slope for me also, where it tells me the worst cross slope. It gives me all this information. Tread width. If I want to know how much of my tread is less than 36 inches, I can click on the tread, and I don't know if any of it is. God, is the whole thing 24? Oh, nope. So 36. So 4,689 feet, or 39% of the trail, is less than the required width. So this trail is never going to be a compliant trail, mostly because of grade and cross slope, to be quite honest. But also the surface type, it's going to put it in alphabetical order. Crushed stone, rock boulder. So these are the things I can go to really quick on the back end to look at things. And if I go up to the top, I can hit, here's all my feature data. Where I started, what zone. It starts with the first zone. There's a drainage, there's a water trough, the water bar. Now you'll notice, like this water trough, this drainage, they don't have a height because they were, I think these were under, they went down. This water trough was underneath, so we didn't put it, they didn't want it. It's kind of what they wanted. Here's a route, 12 by 36 by 4 remaining. So this trail at this point must have been really wide. I don't know why, unless it's supposed to be 12, probably 12 and not 122. And then you go into the second segments, and there's all the for that one. Here are all the ones in the third segment. So it breaks everything down by segment in your feature stuff. But they all have longitude and latitude points if you want them. And well, like my GS does, because she'll go and put all, if they wanted, where are all the blazes, the yellow blaze signs, those would all be dotted along the trail, so they knew where they were. Or where are all the, I don't know, I'm trying to, is there anything different? Three
Yes.
rocks. Oh, geez, I don't know. Let's see where all the benches were. She could put the benches in a different color, and it would show you where all the benches were on this trail. That's what GIS can do with this stuff. I'm trying to get my mouse back. That's kind of really quick of what I just wanted to show with the data, and I can go back to the segments, and it puts me back into order. And that's why on the back end, it already has, when I get done, it already has my typical grade, typical cross slope, typical tread width already figured out for me on my screen. It has my distance. Now I will tell you, my elevation is normally not on. It's not. But my elevation gain and loss is pretty accurate. So this is real quick, all that I wanted to show.
I think that's great,
Looks
Todd.
like really.
Yeah. And I'm a data geek, so I love to get in the back end of things and see how that works. So
yeah, that's the nice thing about this is, I need, my tread, whatever it is of tread width, cross slope, grade, category of that, it allows me to click on those, and it puts them in order for me in terms of worse.
yeah, and you can do some analysis based on that.
Yeah, it makes things really quick for me to pick up my, a lot of places will go, well, we have a, maximum grade at 29%. Well, we don't normally do that, but if that's what people want, that's fine. We'll normally break it up and go like maybe 20 to 29 and tell them that it's, 267 feet. Granted, they're all not next to each other. They're all spread out. But
Todd, I have a question
Yeah.
about this. Seems really helpful for planning maintenance and work events. And if you once the changes are made, so you come in and you change the cross slope and you add stuff, can that be done by the agency or whoever has the information, or what's the way of updating the database?
If they did it themselves and not us, then then I'd say it's pretty simple. Because you can go in and do a couple different things. You can do it manually if you want. If you know exactly where it is, it becomes a little more tricky. If it's a big area, then you could just reassess and put that in. Because I can always, okay, I'm going to try to get out of this. And I don't know if this is going to let me. Did it show that box again? The data box or the other box?
The other
Here.
box is just, yeah,
Okay, so it has like this
the table. Yep. Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
So like in here, it does make it a little tough, but I could go into, I'll just take this bottom one, let's say. And let's say from this rock field to this intersection, they redid it all. I can go in here and I can cut it. And what it does is, here's all the way to that rock field. That was 107 feet. So I can cut that out, and I could go in here and I can, where are you at? Wait a minute, I have to close it. Sorry. It better let me, well, you're not letting me here. Oh, I can take it out. And now I have, but here's that rock field. If I wanted to get rid of the rock field, I could, but it starts over with 0 again. But that first 107 feet really is gone. And if I went in and redid it, then I could add that piece in here, because I can move like this piece. I can move it up. I can move them down. I can rearrange things all I want. So if I went in to this trail, picked up that new piece, put it in here, then I could add, I could take and put it above this one, and then rerun my data again.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Get rid of you.
Well, thanks,
I can
Todd.
do
It
that
looks
anywhere.
looks like our only other guest here is Greg.
Okay.
Everybody else has decided to bug off. Greg, do you have any specific questions?
No, I don't. I'm just kind of monitoring this because it's of interest to me. As we
Okay.
develop trails in North Peoria area, we're coming up on stuff that we're trying to deal with grades. So this is actually very timely. Plus, I just sent Todd, I sent you an email, unrelated question regarding trailheads. I'm seeking some assistance on. So if you can help on that, that's great. If not,
Sure.
no worries about it at all. But I appreciate the time and just allowing folks like me that may have, I'm not that, I'm the parks and trails guy here for the city, and I'll just leave it at that with my limited knowledge. But thank you.
Yeah, we've done
Well,
a few parks.
Yeah,
And
I bet you
that's
have.
our goal here at the network, is to try and get as much information, like working in trails can be very isolating. You start to feel like you're the only one doing it, because very frequently you're the only one at your agency. Like that happens a lot, right? So that's our goal, is to try and share this out with folks. So hopefully we'll have Todd back sometime. Maybe this year we'll make it, or in 2027 we'll make it work for the summit.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Todd, for the presentation. It was great.
Yes, thank you.
Very interested.
Thank you all.
And thanks, Andrea, for all your help. As always, you're a superstar.
Really appreciate it, Todd. Nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have
Take
a
care.
wonderful day, you guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, Greg, for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks all. Bye.
Bye-bye.